As we promised, it's time to introduce the new head coach of the Oakland Raiders, Hue Jackson.
On this very happy and momentous occasion, our team owner, Al Davis, and new head coach, Hue Jackson, will make introductory remarks, which will be followed by a question and answer period. Thank you all very much for coming. And with that, I'm going to turn the press conference over to our team owner, Mr. Al Davis.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much for coming. I didn't think you'd all show up, but I'm glad you did. We have a lot to talk about, both ways. I'm sure you have some questions of me, and I have some questions of you. But for the moment, I want to introduce Hue Jackson's family, his wife, Michelle, his daughters, his mother, and they both come, and I guess her sister, is that right? Okay, and they come from Los Angeles. Michelle comes from Cincinnati, where they had been living, and they've been living out here too. And then his renowned agent, we always deal with agents, Kennard McGuire from Tennessee, and has a lot of great players in the National Football League, and was a student at the University of Tennessee, and came across many of our ex-players, namely Willie Gault and a few others that we keep eternal bondship with. Today is a big day for the Raiders because we have the opportunity to bring to you someone who's made a tremendous impression on the organization and did a great deal for the organization this past year. First, let me say that one of the writers in this room wrote a little story about a few weeks ago and named what he thought were the 5 most important things the Raiders did in the year 2010 to bring back some of the excellence that we own from past decades and past years. I thought I'd list those things to you and say that one of the things he talked about was the great draft that we had for the 2010 season. And we did have a great draft by all acclamation and by the way they played. It was a great group, a group that we think will dominate in the years to come at certain positions and fortify us in the long run. Another point he made was the trade on the draft day for Jason Campbell to the Washington Redskins for a 4th in the 2012 season. And then Jason came a long way in the year 2010, and you have to go back to the quote I gave, and a lot of you took me up on it. The quote I said that he reminds me of Jim Plunkett at this particular phase in his career. I said it then, and I believe it now, but I also believe that Jim Plunkett was one of the truly great coaches, great players of our time, won 2 Super Bowls, and has never gotten the acclaim he desires or deserves. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was a Super Bowl winner. He did as much in pro football as John Elway did, who it took 15 years to win a Super Bowl, somewhere close to that. I remind you that these things don't come quickly to anyone. We all espouse the greatness of Brett Favre, 1 Super Bowl that he won with the Green Bay Packers. So what I was saying to you was that my gestalt saw in Jason Campbell someone down the road who can really throw that football, can run. There are some things we have to do with him, but I think the guy who's going to be handling them in the future knows what to do and how to do it. One point I want to make, it might be interest to you. Kim Newton is the quarterback for Auburn, and they were the national champions this year. When Jason Campbell played for Auburn, he was 13-0 his senior year. I want you to all check it out with all your, a lot of you have scouts and this, who the better player was coming out of college, Jason Campbell or Kim Newton. The third thing that this writer wrote about was the belief in Darren McFadden and Tommy Kelly. Both of them came to the forefront this year. I wish Kelly had played a little bit better like this in the past, because the guy who got him to do it knows how to get players to play and knows what it takes to be a great defensive lineman. Plus, he has some people with him who are already established as great players, and that will be interesting to watch that. A fourth thing, the guy was very bright. He said the hiring of Mike Waffle helped a great deal in the excellence of the defensive line for the Raiders this year. And then the fifth thing, he said the hiring of Hue Jackson, and he couldn't have been more right. The guy came in, he was given the authority to run with the offense. He met some opposition from time to time, but he took it and ran with it. And we scored points. And I've sat here with you in the past, and there are some of you who have said, what do you need most? And 2 different times, I think if you check your little cell phones or whatever you use to quote me, score points. We couldn't get in the end zone. We don't score points. And gentlemen, I tell you that they're young, but this football team and ladies have the most explosive players that have been together in a long time at every offensive position. The fullback is dynamite. He can go all the way on any play. The halfback, McFadden and Bush, complement each other tremendously with explosion. The 4 wide receivers, whereas Schillens doesn't give you maybe the explosion you want, he gives you the big play and he gives you the first down. And then, of course, the tight end is just a bright young player, Miller. And then the quarterback is Jason right now. And what we have to rely on is the guy that I'm turning the banner over to, the baton over to, so he can lead this Raider nation, the fans, and bring back those touchdowns in that Coliseum. You got to score points to win. You can't win without scoring points, and then you got to knock someone down. And that's what Waffle is here for, too. But today, I want you to meet the new head coach of the Oakland Raiders. I'm proud as hell, Hue Jackson.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you so much for this opportunity to address you today. Standing room only, almost. Glad you guys are all here. A lot of you I know. I'm sure a lot more of you I'll get to know as we move through this process. First, I want to take the time to thank my family for being here. All of you, thank you for being here. My agent, Kennard, thank you. Thank you for everything. And then to everyone in the Raider organization, I thank you for this opportunity. And, Coach, I really appreciate the opportunity of you giving me this baton, and my job is to do everything I can to take this team where we know we want to go, which is to the Super Bowl. Obviously, there's a very talented and young football team here, as Coach just talked about. We have some tremendous football players on the offensive side of the ball: Darren McFadden, Jason Campbell, Darius Hayward-Bay, Jacoby Ford, Michael Bush, just to name a few. And then obviously with the draft picks from this past season, Jared Veldier coming in as a rookie and playing like he played for us, the future is so bright on the offensive side of the ball. When you talk about the defensive side of the ball, obviously we start with Ronaldo McClain. I'm talking about a very young player who I think the sky's the limit for. But obviously the cornerstone of what we do over there is still through the Richard Seymours, the Shaughnessy's, okay? Those guys have done a great job. The Tyvon Branches. This is a very young, talented team that this past season did very well in the AFC West. Obviously, we were 6-0 in the West, and we all know we got to learn how to do better outside of our division. But that challenge is what we're looking forward to. What I'm most excited about is the environment that's starting to be created here. The process is in place. We're going to create an environment here for our players to be great, and that's what we're chasing. We're chasing greatness. When I came here a year ago, my goal was to build a bully on offense. There's no question in my mind that that process is underway. We were the second-ranked team in rushing and football. We did score points, obviously not enough to our liking where we want to go, but we think, again, that the players are in place for us to have an opportunity to get it done. I am so proud to stand before you today and have this opportunity to take this football team where I know we can go. Because there's no question that we're going to win this division and that we're going to get in those playoffs and we're going to challenge for the Super Bowl. That's what I'm here for. Obviously, when I came here a year ago, a lot of things were said. You know, why you want to go work for the Raiders? One, I'm from California, and I love being back home. But two, the opportunity to work for Coach Davis. I know a lot of people quote me when I say coach because he is a coach. He was one of the greatest coaches of our time coaching a football team. And I want you guys all to know I've worked for a lot of owners in this league. I've been on 4 different football teams. I started with Dan Snyder. I worked from there to Mike Brown, from there to Arthur Blank, from there to Steve Bisciotti. And I'm not saying this because I'm sitting here. I'm being very honest with you. No one of those guys, and they're all excellent with what they do, but I've never had the opportunity to sit and talk football, the X's and O's, and what it takes to win in this league consistently on a consistent basis. And there's nothing like work for Coach Davis. I know a lot of stuff gets said about this and that. I'm telling you, I'm here. I'm a walking testimony of coming here in the first year and having an opportunity to make something great. We're not where we want to be, but I'm so excited about the opportunity that the men that are sitting in the back of that room, Mike Waffle, Kevin Ross, guys that I know this past year, that we did everything we could to get this organization where we wanted to be, and none of us are satisfied. We all are ready to roll up our sleeves and go to work. So I'm glad to be here, glad to be the head coach of this football team. I plan on being here for a long time, and glad to see all of you here today.
We'll now open it for questions. Please raise your hand and be acknowledged, and state your name and affiliation. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Rick Tittle with Sports Byline. Coach, you're here because scoring over 400 points, but now that you move into the hot seat, we hear rumors Al Saunders might be coming in. How much are you still going to be involved with the offense? Are you still going to call all the plays?
Yes, I am. I'm going to be the primary play caller, but we're going to do everything we can to recruit the best staff for the Oakland Raiders. Obviously, the name you just mentioned is someone that is out there that we would love to talk to, but there's several people that we're going to talk to. We're going to do everything we can to put the best staff here in Oakland.
Cam Inman, Bay Area News Group. I'd like you both to talk about the quarterback situation a little bit more and maybe explain why Jason Campbell, why you believe he's going to solidify that position, and how much Jamarcus Russell's drafting set back this franchise.
Jamarcus is gone when I decided sometime in June, I think it was June or May of this year, that we no longer, as an organization, can fight the battle of personal problems for certain players. We tried it in the past. We had been successful with some of the greatest players who've ever played professional football, and we failed with some of the greatest players who've ever played professional football who had personal problems. And we had a big investment in this guy. Basically, he's a good person, but he's got personal problems. And I decided it's time that we weren't going to fight it anymore. I wasn't going to. I wasn't going to ask the coaching staff to do it. And I had already traded for Jason and had that in the back of my mind. And we had Gradkowski, who was coming off an injury, who showed some ability to be a quarterback in this league. And that was the thing with Jamarcus. It hurt us a great deal. But you got to go on. You got to overcome those things, and we almost did this year. We had a shot this year with about 5 games to go to make the playoffs. And if we had gotten in the playoffs, there's no telling how far we could go, because we have a defense, if we can keep them together, that's coming of age, that's a tough group. They beat people up. And I don't mean that negatively, but they're tough. And they don't like to play us. Seymour leads the pack with Kelly. We've got a young guy there who's going to be good, Bryant. And we got 3 young guys on the outside. But Jamarcus hurt. Anytime you lose a first-round draft choice, it hurts. But it's over. It's been a long time, and we'll overcome it.